Hey everybody, Will Anderson here to break down a really interesting game from the second week of MGI's Virtual Scrabble League Series. In the fifth game of the round of 32, Singaporean Grandmaster Ricky Purnomo faced former World Scrabble champion Wellington Jighere. Wellington was a perfect 4-0, while Ricky sat at 2-2 in need of a win to improve his chances of advancing. The game was full of interesting decisions for both players, so let's dive in. Ricky opens with Behead, the clear best move. Only Bina is even close, but saving the N after Behead results in more bingos than the D after Bina. Wellington is relieved to see the first blank on his opening rack, but it comes with 5 vowels. He plays Arrow for 16, but a slightly better variation might have been Urao, scoring a few more points and shedding the unwieldy U. Arrow also makes a high-scoring hotspot at 10F. The X, Y, W, and other high-scoring tiles fit there for large scores. Ricky plays Gunk, undoubling his N's and shedding his own U. Definitely a strong move, but there was a better one here. The flashy Unnerve through ER, hitting 2 double word scores and scoring 40 points. Wellington draws even more vowels and is forced to take a low score to dump them with Awa. Playing Awa underneath Gunk or simply exchanging vowels rather than playing were also reasonable choices, but Wellington's placement is fine. Ricky's next move is very likely to hit the triple word score at 08, creating several extremely flexible new bingo lines for Wellington to hit with his blank. Sure enough, Ricky makes exactly such a play with Novel, and it's his best choice here, even holding the Q behind. The only option that uses the Q is Kat for 12 points, a 17-point sacrifice from Novel. That's too much. A draw of FY delays Wellington's quest to bingo one turn further, and he plays Foy for 24. The computer engine slightly favors Youth, but I prefer Wellington's choice here. The EOR blank leave pairs extremely well with the open V to make over words, and Youth blocks the letters in Novel that he needs to stay open to get his bingo down. Foy also makes another bingo lane on row 6 that he might need. Ricky answers back with Chi for 36, clearly the right choice. At last, Wellington connects on his bingo. He has several available here and plays the highest scoring one available to him, Renowner, for 86 points and the lead. Really nice find. Ricky hits back with TD for 49 points, a great overlapping move. Its only drawback is keeping the dreaded duplicated I combination, which really hurts his ability to score well or bingo next turn. It says a lot about the weakness of duplicated I's that Yid is roughly exactly as good of a play despite being 21 fewer points, but TD is still a really strong play here. Wellington draws 2 G's and 2 T's after his bingo and plays Sig in the upper right for 25. Notice that he could have played Gig in the same spot, but likely avoided doing so because of the potential ing words he might be giving up. I might have gone with Teg at 11D to undouble both the T's and the G's at once, but getting rid of his I with 7 more of them yet to be played was likely a top priority for Wellington here. Ricky draws a third I and a second S and plays Vis for 21. The only comparable play I can spot would be the tricky Naivist from NA on the board, scoring 20 points and opening the board further. However, it's an adjective, not a noun, meaning Ricky wouldn't have been able to pluralize it for big points to the triple word score. Wellington plays Negate for 27 points, the highest score he can get here. The engine wants him to play Teg or Tet, but I prefer Wellington's choice. Against a clever human opponent like Ricky, Wellington needs to open the board himself. Ricky isn't going to do it for him. Negate accomplishes this, whereas Tet does not. However, Ricky is thrilled to see that open E and plays Deficits for 65, his only bingo, to regain a solid lead. Wellington once again plays his highest scoring and best move here, Judd, landing the J on a premium square to pump up his score. Now things start getting really interesting. Ricky plays op, grabbing the most points that he can get and blocking the G of negate. Other options might have tempted him here, such as prior, undoubling his duplicated P's and R's, but the possibility of Sprier hooking plays make that an unnecessary risk. My favorite play here is rip on row 5. It effectively blocks a moderately threatening bingo line, leaves no duplicated tiles, and still scores decently well. Wellington responds with a nice overlap of wait for 27. I like this play a lot. Another competitive play is twire, which retains the I and gives him an outside chance of hitting a bingo or high scoring play to the C of sig with the IC suffix. Heading into the final quarter of the game, Ricky can see that the second blank, 2 S's, and the X and Z are still lurking in the unseen tiles. He plays reprint to try and draw as many of them as he can, a really nice idea. Wellington makes a really creative play here, motivated by a similar idea. He plays valets for 23, using up 5 tiles in an effort to draw the blank X or Z, and creating a difficult situation for Ricky. If Ricky elects to block the row 4 bingo lane, Wellington might be able to surprise him with some high-scoring plays on the interior of the board. Sure enough, Ricky does exactly that, playing Mo for only 12 points, but restricting the words that can play a top reprint on row 4. However, if he's going to do this, he needs to play me instead.
Ricky just can't make a play that doesn't give himself a vowel that stays at D6 next turn. Like, he should at least play MI, right? Like, you have to save the O.
Wellington achieves his goal of drawing those critical tiles, landing both the X and the blank. And he plays latex, and I wonder if that strategy, that's amazing. Man, what an idea that is, to play valets to get the most points you can get, and then he draws X blank and plays latex for 40, and all of a sudden he has a lead.
I think it's a step beyond, because he could have played Let's at K3, which actually scored more points. But I think he was really trying to
great spot.
Score points, but also open up a good Z spot.
Ricky's in a bind now, with duplicated I's and N's and nowhere to score well. He plays linen, needing to either draw a bingo that fits on row 4 or a Z play that plays a top latex for a heavy score. Other possibilities were knurl or mains, but the engine likes linen roughly the same. But Wellington's drawn the Z himself, and he makes a great play to wrap up the win here. He correctly determines that Ricky's only bingo threat here is erodium along row 4 if the A is the final tile in the bag. His play of Zo blocks it and sets himself up well headed into the endgame. Ricky has no winning sequences here in the endgame. His best choice would have been Darrow, offering no opportunities for Wellington to go out on his next turn and leaving Umiak for himself. He plays Amu for 16 instead. Wellington responds with Tabor. A better choice was Rebs for 27, making the tricky obese hook, but Tabor gets the job done. Ricky goes out with his best move of video, but it's not enough. And wow, Wellington again. That's the second time now where we've tuned into a game where Wellington has been playing, and just through sheer patience and allowing himself to get the right kind of draws, he was able to come back and defeat Ricky in this game. Wellington's patience and creativity were on full display in this game as he escapes with a narrow win to improve his record to 5-0. Tune in for top-notch Scrabble action like this at my Twitch channel, and make sure to follow to be notified when we go live.